So I have this idea about human junk code, and I got to that by thinking, well, what is it that we haven't put into AI? Because if you think about particularly Western bias, we're all very keen on rationality and scientific everything and getting A stars. And we've sort of taken all that stuff and bunged it into AI to copy the best of our intelligence. And because I've worked so much with leaders, I feel there's a bit more to it than that. I don't think we're just all rational decision makers. I think there's a huge amount of other stuff going on. So I started raking around on the floor to find out what is it we've left out? What is the sort of junk code in our own design that we thought wasn't relevant? Because actually when you get into that, you realise it's crucial, and it's particularly crucial for leadership. So there's 7 bits of junk code. The first is about free will, and that's our key property really. We all as a species have agency, and we imagine we can be masters of our fate. But in order to protect us, we have a whole load of other bits of functionality to kind of round that out, so we don't just be willful and destroy the species by being stupid. So the first thing we have as a mitigator is emotions, and emotions creates bonds between people and communities, between parents and children, between siblings, between all kinds of people, which means you essentially get safety in numbers and you get that crowd effect, which keeps the species together. And then before we have had time to educate our children, you need quick ways for them to make very instinctive decisions about things. So we have intuition or sixth sense or feeling it in your bones or whatever expression you want, which is our ability to make quite quick decisions, particularly in situations which are data poor, as they say, about whether you trust someone, whether a place is safe, those instinctive things that help us survive. And then we have this amazing capacity for coping with uncertainty and being able to sort of have paradox and things that don't quite settle and agree and contemplate options and think about alternative futures, because that act of sitting in uncertainty, what the poet John Keats would call negative capability, is about stopping us rushing into things that might be errors and mistakes. And in that pause, you've got time to think again, ask for advice, improve the quality of any decision you do make. And then, of course, we learn from mistakes, so it's not always a disaster longer term, having had mistakes in your background. But more importantly, we have a sort of moral learning around mistake making because of all that intuition and emotions we pick up when we've upset people, when we've done the wrong thing, and we develop conscience. And conscience future-proofs us to make better decisions that don't upset our gang, so we can stay together as a species. And then you turn all that into a couple of really interesting things to keep us going forwards as a species. One is about purpose, and we get to purpose by something we're really good at, which is about meaning making. Whether it's about joining dots in the sky and calling them constellations because you want to be able to remember where north is, or whether it's about superstitions, do the number 13 or black cats or whatever it might be. We're very good at just sort of making up stories about things that make sense for us, because that drives a sense of purpose. And it's the reason we get out of bed on a dark day and keep trying after setbacks and all that really important stuff of resilience and motivation. And then we've turned all of that into this superpower of storytelling, and the species has an extraordinary history of storytelling. The wisdom traditions, the religions, they've kept stories going for us for thousands of years, and all the myths and legends are the same stories being told throughout history, all the way across the world in different ways, which are all designed to give us advice and wisdom about how we stay on track as a species, how we stay together, how we survive. So when you look at all that junk code, you realise it's pretty clever. It's all very clever stuff about de-risking our design. So my big question for AI is, why haven't you put more of it into AI? Because if it's helping us manage free will, when you increasingly get AIs that are designed to be able to, quote, think for themselves, how are you going to make those safe? So all my stuff around junk code is trying to say, well, look, the really, really crucial things about how to be a human and a better human are all about these things that we have possibly underplayed around intuition and emotion and meaning making and all those things, which actually we need to double down on now, because we've never had a competitor like this. We've never had someone who can do an awful lot of the stuff we thought was ours and special and precious. So actually we need to be rethinking a bit what it means to be human, as well as what we think AI can do, and trying to get better at being human rather than just competing with the AI.